Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel for another vegan and gluten-free recipe. I have to mention here, I'm filming this on February 2nd, 2025. It's Groundhog Day. I have no clue if he saw his shadow or not, but I know you didn't come here for Punxsutawney Phil, you came here for a recipe. I'll be making this batch of vegan curry chickpeas. There's 13 lovely ingredients I'll be using for this recipe, so let's go through each of them one by one super quickly. First up, we've got 1 chopped yellow onion, 6 chopped cloves of garlic, 2 15-ounce cans of chickpeas, 1 14.5-ounce can of crushed tomatoes, 1 13.5-ounce can of coconut milk, 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, 2 tablespoons of curry powder, 1 teaspoon of ground cumin, 1/2 teaspoon of crushed red pepper flakes, a handful of fresh cilantro leaves, a drizzle of lime juice, and finally some salt and pepper to taste. There's just 5 steps to this super easy curry chickpea recipe. I've linked the recipe that I'm following down in the description box if you want to make these chickpeas yourself. And I should say all but the very last step of this recipe will be taking place over at my stovetop. I'll be mixing things together in my saute pan. For step number 1, I'll saute the chopped onion in the 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil over medium-low heat in my saucepan. For step number 2, I'll add in the chopped garlic and the crushed red pepper flakes. I'll mix them together with the sauteed onion and I'll let that mixture saute for an additional 5 minutes. For step number 3, I'll add in the curry powder and the ground cumin and stir everything together in the saucepan for about 1 minute. For step number 4, I'll add in the coconut milk, the crushed tomatoes, and the 2 cans of chickpeas into the saucepan. And I should mention too that I'll be draining and patting dry these 2 cans of chickpeas before I throw them in. I'll let the mixture in the saucepan simmer for about 10 minutes, and toward the end of those 10 minutes, I'll add in the salt and the ground pepper. And then for step number 5, the last step of this recipe, I'll dish up the curried chickpeas. I happen to have some leftover quinoa. You can use brown rice or a different starch if you'd like. I'll plate the curried chickpeas with the quinoa and then I'll garnish the dish with a few of the cilantro leaves and a drizzle of the lime juice. That's it for the ingredients and the recipe steps. I told you it was super easy, so let's get started with step number 1, which is to saute the chopped onion. Let's waste no time getting these curried chickpeas plated. I'll first start by dishing up some of this quinoa. I'll give you a close-up in case you don't know what quinoa looks like or you've never had it before. It's basically these little pearly grains, although I think technically they're a seed. I love them as a starch. They happen to be a complete protein, which is really a hack when you're plant-based. I like to have protein paired with something that's a bit starchy, just so that you're not overloading your stomach with straight protein. Oh, this is so luscious. Courtesy of the coconut milk, I would say. Ooh, try not to make too much of a mess here. You could probably put this in a bowl. I'm putting this on a plate so you can see it better. I just love hearty dishes, especially with a little kick. We're in February now, and here in Minnesota, it's quite dark and chilly. So this is the perfect thing to come home to and heat up and just enjoy at home, nice and cozy. And then to finish this off, you can't forget about the garnish that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. I'll start with the lime juice. I almost said lemon juice. I think that would work if you don't really like the flavor of lime. And then we've got these fresh leaves of cilantro. I just love the smell of cilantro. The consistency of this is a little bit watery now, though it should thicken up quite a bit when I store it overnight. And I also just love the color in this. You have the peaks of red from the crushed tomatoes, then you have the combination of the curry powder with the ground cumin, and then of course the cilantro on top. So it really is such a beautiful, colorful meal. So curious, although I think I have a good guess at what everything will taste like together. It's a bit brighter and sweeter than I thought it would taste. My guess is two things are giving it the lighter, tangier taste than I expected. One would be the crushed tomatoes, and the second thing would be the teaspoon of cumin. I really like the flavor. I just wasn't expecting it to be this bright. I was thinking way more earthy and savory and deeper flavors, if that makes sense. Not exactly the flavor profile I was expecting, but I'm very, very pleasantly surprised by this. All right, I actually need to stop eating this so I can talk to you some more. I would say chickpeas are my all-time favorite source of protein as a vegan, and I have a couple recipes linked for you at the end of this video that both utilize chickpeas. One of them is an Indian dish called chana masala. It's pretty similar to this. It uses, I think, maybe 1 or 2 cans of chickpeas. And then the second recipe video I've linked for you is baked falafel. I grew up eating falafel even though I wasn't vegan before 18. So that's another fun way to use chickpea. You grind them up, you form them into little patties, and then you bake them in your oven. Check out either or both of those recipes, especially if you're on the lookout for delicious plant-based protein. Let me know what you thought of this recipe down in the comments, and also feel free to suggest recipes that you haven't seen on my channel before. Take care, my lovely foodies, eat well, and I'll see you in the next episode on this channel. Bye!